All right. So, welcome all. Good evening, everyone. And I welcome Dr. Rakesh Bharti to this evening, and which is a very important lecture today. Number one, it is the end of this month, and our continuously we were doing all these PGNRs. Now the frequency will be little reduced, and we'll be doing it once a week or twice a week maximum. Uh, Choice of lectures will be chosen from you. You give me choice, you give me suggestions. We will prepare, get the lectures prepared. इसको आप full पे कर ले भारती साहब.
Okay, sir.
आपका side वाला दिख रहा है. So let me introduce. Of course, everybody knows in the country as well as outside Dr. Rakesh Bharti. He is a consultant in Dharma Care and Research Center, Amritsar, and member of many associations, IMA, IAL, IADVL, Sexology, and whatnot. He has remained active in IADVL also as a Secretary Punjab, Himachal, J&K, and Chandigarh, and president of the same branch in 2014-15. Has got more than 30 publications to his credit in national and international journals, and chapter on pemphigus erythematosus and e-medicine on online textbook. The Fugo blade in dermatology chapter in ocular applications of Fugo blade. Cutaneous complications of HIV slide presentation. He has worked a lot in STDs and HIV. We were together long back. He has co-authored Management of Psychosexual Dysfunction and contributed in a handbook of psychodermatology. Fluoxetine in leprosy is another topic. Mesalgine in psoriasis and topiramate in dermatology. So there are many long list of these things. So, but since the time has started and almost more than 60 people are here, so I request Dr. Rakesh Bharti to remind us the forgotten STDs. Let us see what is there in STDs, which was at one time. It was just like this corona, if you remember, in the earlier of this last century, when Columbus went to America. And now these bacterial STDs and these STDs, they have lost their charm. Rather, they are becoming extinct also, as well as less tension is there. So Dr. Bharti will be telling all of us. Now, Bharti sir, now everything is yours for next 1 year, 1 hour, and then we will see.
Sir, 1 year I will be lost.
one hour, sir, 1 hour.
Thank you very much for introducing me, sir, for enumerating whatever I gave you. I enjoyed talking about HIV for a long time, and I used to say that we were heroes at that time. You know, whenever 1st December will come, people will come and interview us. In all the conferences, I was asked to talk about HIV. And, then I started realizing that enough is enough. I should talk something else. And I'm so thankful to you and Dr. Agarwal that you gave me something different to talk about. Thank you very much, sir. I welcome all the participants. I really don't know how much I will be able to convey to you in this short span of 1 hour, but I'll try to do maximum justice.
No, time is no limit here. If you want, you can take 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever time, because that is absolutely nothing. So you don't worry.
Great, thank you. So that depends on the curiosity of the people.
Right.
Let's see. Let's try to know what are these forgotten HIVs, STDs. Now, it was only 9 days ago. There was a great Sunday, which had many days. It was a selfie day. It was this day, that day, and it was a Sunday. But believe you me, the sun was not the hero that day. It was the moon actually who could eclipse the mighty sun. The similar situation occurred with the arrival of the HIV in 80s. In our times when we were doing graduation, you were told that if you know syphilis, you know whole of medicine. But then the times changed. And times changed so much that people started saying, if you know HIV, you know whole of medicine. So HIV actually eclipsed the rising sun of STDs, and we almost forgot about them. But then the bacteria are notorious. Everybody has to survive. including the bacteria. So what happened was, in the presence of HIV also, they came back, and they came back in a different way. What I will tell you. While I was doing my post-graduation at Amritsar, our department used to have only two main clinics. These days, you know, we have many like vitiligo, like hair, nail. But in those days, we used to have only leprosy clinic and STD clinic. And we used to be two residents. So one will take care of one clinic and other will take of other clinic. I was in charge of the leprosy clinic. So being in charge of the leprosy clinic for last 3 years, at the end of the session, when I was to appear in MD exam, since I had not handled that much of STD, I was very scared. I was scared, how will I fare in the exam? So one of my colleagues who was taking care of STD clinic, he ultimately retired as professor and head of skin department, Dr. S.K. Malhotra. He told me, yeah, don't worry. STDs are very simple. And don't fear of darkness. You remember that dark ground illumination? I don't know how many have actually seen Treponema pallidum in that dark ground illumination. But he told me, don't worry, there are only few diseases and there are only few drugs to treat them all. So I said, okay. But that was MD exam, that was a different thing. Later in the life, things were different. And I saw many patients of various STDs. These are some representative photographs. I hope many of you can diagnose what they are. But we'll talk about them. A passing reference about HIV. You know, Dr. Maniyar must have talked to you earlier, since I have done lots of HIV work and seen a lot of patients, not as many as Dr. Mathur, but I have also seen quite a bit. And today we know that although HIV is like a chronic ailment, and it is a fact that HIV transmission, the other important thing is that HIV transmission is facilitated in the presence of these STDs. That is why it is very important to know about them. And today we know there are more than 20 plus drugs to treat HIV, and we have 5 groups like NRTIs, NNRTIs, protease inhibitors, entry inhibitors, and integrase inhibitors. I am not going to go into the details of these, but these are the photographs over the years, some representative photographs of HIV patients, because this is also STD, so I thought I should show this also. Otherwise, I have a presentation on cutaneous manifestations of HIV on PET-scale. Besides, so what actually changed after the emergence of HIV? Now, the control of STD became the star attraction with the advent of HIV. The agencies seeing health around the globe designed syndromic approach. Why? Because STD may be caused by different organisms, but they cause a limited number of signs and symptoms. So a syndromic approach was used just because we know that HIV and STDs, they facilitate each other's transmission. So the agencies thought that they should have a syndromic approach to treat the sexually transmitted disease so that HIV transmission can be halted. Now, for people like me, who are purists, it was a refined way of quackery. It is like a combination of steroids with antibacterial and antifungal to treat all the type of rings. It's like an ulcer here and give this together or in a stepladder fashion, a discharge there and treat in the same quack mode of mixing things. I really feel that as a specialist, we should not do that. The importance of knowing the forgotten is, for a specialist, I feel that syndromic approach is probably not the correct approach, despite there is a nod from the national and international bodies. I usually judge an expert from his prescription. See, the lesser number of drugs prescribed after the exact diagnosis, more is the expertise of a person, I feel, and vice versa. Now, after controlling HIV to quite an extent, the viral diseases and other STDs became more relevant because they became more visible. And again, I'm saying the same thing, but remains the fact that HIV transmission and STDs, they facilitate each other's transmission. Now, I've been talking about these diseases in a little details. Number one, we talk about syphilis. Now, what is important to know about syphilis? Many of you who have seen cases, and I don't know how many have actually seen. This is caused by, we all know, through Treponema pallidum, through a direct, usually a sexual contact, or with mucosal lesions. Just a minute, give me a minute. The incidence rate of syphilis have increased substantially around the world, mostly affecting men having sex with men. MSM, they are more affected by syphilis. And you should have a high index of suspicion for syphilis in any sexually active patient with genital lesions or rashes. Now, primary syphilis classically presents as a single, painless, indurated genital ulcer called chancre, but this presentation is only 31% sensitive. Lesions can be painful and extra genital also. The diagnosis is usually based on serology using a combination of treponemal and non-treponemal tests. We will come to that a little later. And syphilis remains sensitive to benzathine penicillin G. These are important things we should know. And staging of syphilis is also important because it is the basis of management, treatment, expected treatment response, followed. Am I not audible? Oh, somebody has unmuted. Anyways. Now, patients with syphilis should also be screened for HIV, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and other sexually transmitted diseases. No, we can go back. Now, with infectivity up to 10 to 30% per sexual contact, the syphilis rate have increased to 300% in Western countries. Now, I don't know how many of you, the lady you are seeing here, this is a patient I published in an international journal. There you can see the tissue paper sign, typical. This was a recently married lady who came to me with this rash and some rashes on the hands. And typically, you know, as we all know, in secondary syphilis, the rash on the palms is non-itchy. So that gave me a good clue immediately, and a benzathine penicillin did wonders with that patient. The staging of syphilis is important. We know that if syphilis can be congenital and acquired. Congenital syphilis can be early or late. Now, early we say when the age is less than 2 years, late when it is more than 2 years. Then acquired syphilis, usually 10 to 90 days, we say 3 weeks. Primary chancre occurs, primary syphilis we call it, and then in next 2 weeks to 6 months secondary, and then early latent. All these up to primary, secondary, and early latent are infectious stages of syphilis. Whereas up to 1 year to 46 years even, you know, in leprosy we used to say that it may take long time, but in late latent syphilis also many years may lapse. And that tertiary can be gummatous or non-gummatous, and it can affect nervous system and cardiovascular system. Primary syphilis patients with this have a chancre at the site of inoculation, classically painless, as I said in the beginning, and non-exudative ulcer, while often on the glans, corona, labia, fauciety, or perineum. It may also occur in mouth, rectum, or vagina. This is important to know. And these chancres can be inconspicuous and resolve in 3 to 10 weeks on their own, possibly explaining why 60% of the patients do not recall. You ask them, after the sexual intercourse, did you have something? They will say, no, I had nothing. When a patient comes to you, secondary this thing. And the chancres, let me tell you, can sometimes be multiple, painful, or atypical also because of the co-infection of the other bacteria or herpes virus. So depending on the inoculum size, the chancre usually occurs between 10 days to 90 days after exposure, and they are localized, painless usually. Sometimes adenopathy may occur. Now, this is the photograph I am showing of the palms of the same lady, and below there is another lady who had condylomata lata, and secondary syphilis is a manifestation we all know of bacterial dissemination, and it classically presents a diffuse, symmetric, copper, maculopapular, possibly pruritic, possibly, but not always. rash, but not vesicular. You have to remember that. A rash on palms and soles is common. 11 to 70% patients can have that. Mucus lesions, patchy alopecia, fever, headache, and generalized painless adenopathy can also occur at times in secondary syphilis because it is a sign of dissemination. Now, early neurosyphilis also develops in about 25 to 60% of the people. 25 to 60% is a big number. And secondary symptoms appear usually 2 to 24 weeks after the infection. Concurrently also, and sometimes up to 8 weeks later on. And then they disappear simultaneously after several weeks with or without markings. So that is secondary. And the late syphilis is, there are two stages, latent and tertiary. Latent syphilis can become latent and symptoms of secondary syphilis recur in 25% of the patients within 1 year of acquiring the infection. Now, latent syphilis has early and late stages. The early latent disease includes the period of potential symptoms, relapse, classified by WHO and European Union as less than 2 years since the inoculation, and as less than 1 year in US, UK, and Canadian guidelines. But I really feel it doesn't matter, but you can remember is 1 to 2 years. As symptoms relapse, bacterial replication, early latent disease can be infectious. Now, late latent syphilis occurs more than 1 to 2 years after acquisition and is usually non-infectious. Tertiary syphilis without treatment, 14 to 40% of the people can progress to this disease, irreversible to any organ, and it can occur within 1 to 46 years. The damage is primarily neurologic, cardiovascular, or gummatous, which can be pathognomic of tertiary syphilis. Now, how do we know? How do we reach a diagnosis? Treponema pallidum may be visualized from the lesions using the dark field microscopy, direct fluorescence antibody testing, or polymerase chain reaction. But these tests are not widely available. They are not widely available. So the diagnosis predominantly depends on serology. Now, what serological tests? And there is a laboratory algorithm which may vary according to what tests you do in the beginning with a screening of treponemal test, such as enzyme or chemiluminescence assay to detect the treponemal antibodies. A positive screening test should be followed by a confirmatory TPHA. We usually call treponema hemagglutination assay test. Now, if both the tests are positive, then infection with syphilis is sure, is confirmed. And thereafter, you can think of the rapid plasma reagent test also, which is a quantitative non-treponemal test. It can be used as a measure of disease activity and to track the response of the treatment. 15 to 40% of the patients remain reactive even after. Now, this is a big problem. Most of the times these days when patients go to Middle East, usually, I'm naming the countries because I see those patients, and they are found VDRL positive, and nobody asks for a dilution. They are sent back and they are asked to get the treatment. They come to us, we get the dilution done. And supposing the dilution is more than 1:8, then we ask for benzathine penicillin, long-acting penicillins, and then they want a certificate. Now, I remember when we used to see a lot of patients going to Canada, and there was a practitioner here screening those patients. Then Canadian government will accept our certificate that he has been given 3 doses of Penidior LA24, right? But in Middle East, they do not agree. They want to see a negative report. And unfortunately, these patients, because they are poor patients, usually going there for labor work or something, so their all dreams are shattered. I really can't help, but this is the reality that we have to depend on that. I wish sometimes some Middle East country dermatologists think about it and give some sense to the governments. Anyways, I will not go into that. And screening tests become positive first, often within first 2 weeks of Schenker. However, with negative results, who have syphilis-like symptoms, a high-risk contact should be retested after 4 weeks. The RPA test may remain negative for 4 weeks after the Schenker. So it is often negative in syphilis, but 98 to 100% sensitive in secondary syphilis. There you can't miss it. And because RPR test is test of a non-specific tissue damage, it may be positive for reasons other than symptoms. Now, in the absence of the treatment, a negative non-treponema test months after potential exposure effectively rules out the syphilis infection. Note that treponema tests cannot distinguish active form of infection and generally remain positive for life. Now, that is a big problem as far as patient is concerned. Now, what do we do with inconclusive? Many times we come across patients with this test positive and this test negative or indeterminate. So what do we do with them? Generally, inconclusive results arise in early infection or from waning antibody levels in the late infection, either early or late. Now, the most common combinations are a positive RPR and a negative TPHA. And confirmatory tests suggest that RPR result is false positive. When you find that that test is positive and this, then you can decide that. A positive screening test with negative confirmatory test. Screening test is positive, but confirmatory test is negative, and RPR is negative, is likely it is a false positive, but could indicate, or it could indicate a early infection. Similarly, a positive screening test with indeterminate confirmatory test and negative RPR could represent waning antibody levels after a previous or treated infection or a new infection. Now, in the era of antibiotics, when so many antibiotics are available, we keep giving azithromycins and doxycyclines, many times even if patient has not taken penicillin, the results can be different. How do we treat? Treatment somehow is very, very easy. Everybody of us know that. But what I would like to say is that how do we give is important, and we should tell the pharmacist or the dispenser that how to give. Benzathine penicillin, 2.4 mega units, single intramuscular dose for primary syphilis. But how to give it is important. You must test it with procaine penicillin, and then it should be given in both the sides with deep intramuscular, both the buttocks, deep intramuscular with a wide bore needle. Because if you use a narrow or a fine needle, the whole penicillin gets stuck into it and it doesn't go to the patient. That is a practical thing. You must clearly write that after test dose with this deep intramuscular, half in each buttock. Even if you are giving 3 times every weekly, we'll come to that for secondary syphilis, every time it should be tested. That is one. And if somebody is penicillin sensitive, then we can switch over to doxycycline 100 milligram twice a day for 2 weeks. Now, there are some alternative treatments also. Because many people nowadays, either penicillin is not available, procuring it is an issue, or people are not ready to give it. Even in a hospital setup, many people are not ready to give penicillin. So we have alternative treatments like ceftriaxone 1 gram. It can be given intravenous or intramuscular daily for 10 days. Daily for 10 days. Or we can switch over to procaine penicillin 1.2 units intramuscular once daily for 10 days. Or we can give a single dose of azithromycin 2 grams. This is for primary syphilis. For late latent disease, the first line of treatment is benzathine penicillin intramuscular once weekly for 3 weeks. Now, I usually tell patients that you should make sure that if first injection is given on Tuesday, the next injection should also be given on Tuesday. There should be no complacency about it. 3 weekly injections means on exact date. And every time you have to test, and I'm repeating, it has to be given half in each buttock, deep intramuscular, and after sensitivity test. Alternatively, doxycycline 100 milligram twice daily for a month, 24 weeks in late latent disease. Alternative treatments is ceftriaxone 1 gram intravenous or intramuscular daily for 10 days, or procaine penicillin G, PP4, 1.2 units intramuscular daily for 14 to 21 days in this case. Now, these are different guidelines, US, UK, and Canadian guidelines about benzathine penicillin and doxycycline. In some countries, people do not believe that ceftriaxone should be given. But that's okay for us. In India, we give this. I usually, whosoever comes, prefer giving penicillin, and somehow, let me tell you, in all the government hospitals, the Ayush pharma centers have penicillin. Or whenever there are STD clinics, you have a medical college nearby. In STD clinics, these injections are available. In a local chemist, they are very, very difficult to procure them. Now, how about the follow-up? Because syphilis has no test of cure. Conversion to a non-reactive RPR is the best evidence. But so patients should be tested when? Of course, at the start of the treatment, and then you can monitor at 6 months and 12 months. There is a likelihood. If nothing else, titers will go down. And there is no clinical data guide interpretation of RPR titers after the treatment, and guidelines are based on expert opinions, which are, experts never concur on many things. So I really don't know what to say to the patient, but usually, we have to explain that your disease is over with this treatment, and this is universal all over the world. This is the treatment, and if you have taken it, you are free. At least employment or no employment, we don't know. You can go to Middle East or no, I don't know. But no harm will be done to your partner or to your children. That is also important. I have not seen a congenital syphilis for a long time. So I really don't know how many of you have seen congenital syphilis patients. The reason can be use of antibiotics right and left in all patients. Anyways, that was all about syphilis, not all about syphilis, a little bit about syphilis. People listening to me may be knowing more, or we can add later on during the question answer session if you have any queries. Now I switch over to the second disease, that is gonorrhea. It is transmitted sexually through unprotected sexual intercourse. It's a very common infection caused by, we all know, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, and symptoms may or may not have clinical symptoms. Is usually found in the vagina and is more particularly in the cervix and in the urethra. Usually patient will come and give you a history that he had a contact, and followed by he comes that there is pus discharge. Males usually say that, and they will say their undergarments are stained in the morning, like this in the males, and in the females you can see there. And it's pretty common. They may not have very great clinical symptoms. Is normally, I told you where they are found. This is how it looks. The most men with gonorrhea often have symptoms of pain in the penis, the urethral pus unclosed, cold pee. So they often they keep going to the bathroom, but not soon enough to prevent transmission to the sexual partner. And urethritis due to gonorrhea has an incubation, usually after sex, 3 to 5 days later, the patient reports to you. And expression of, you send the specimen to the microbiologist and he can find the bacteria there. It is so easy to find this, and so easy to treat also. We'll just talk about that. The expression of the purulent discharge from the urethra, green or yellow, and number more often accompanied by acute diabetes is more common in that. If not treated in time, it can lead to chronic gonorrhea. We all know there are many complications. People can keep on coming with prostatitis, which is very difficult to treat. They can have epididymitis, and these things can ultimately even lead on to infertility. So many times when a patient is suffering from infertility, we can do a reverse thinking also. In women, they usually do not reveal any symptoms. Even when women are also sometimes they are mistaken for a bladder infection or a vaginitis, things like that. There is itching and burning around the vagina, and there is painful urination. 50 to 80% of the people have no symptoms, females. And they are not clear whether complications. Only problem occurs when they develop pelvic inflammatory disease, leading to infertility or even ectopic pregnancy. Now, pregnant women with gonorrhea is not treated, can cause miscarriage and infant washcloths. Now, manifestations of acute disease with acute urinary symptoms, purulent discharge from urethra, cervix, tan or green abundant foul odor is there. So these are the things you can think about in the females. I said in the beginning, treatment is easy. For uncomplicated gonorrhea, we give ceftriaxone. Unfortunately, the trade names of US are written here, but in India, they come by this name also. A single intramuscular dose of 250 milligram is good enough to treat uncomplicated gonorrhea. Many, I can hear somebody not muting. Okay. Now the spectinomycin can be also given 2 grams single dose, and cefotaxime 1 gram single dose intramuscularly can also be given. For uncomplicated gonorrhea, when the more complex treatment antibodies are formed in high dosages for long duration, we can give for complicated, we can give these antibiotics for a longer duration. And when epididymitis or inflammation of the fallopian tubes occur. Treatment in newborns is also important. Sometimes the disease can pass on to newborns. Then we give ceftriaxone 50 milligram per kilogram of the body weight, administered intramuscularly. It should not exceed 125 milligram. At the same time, fat tetracycline topical 1% every hour can also be given in the eyes. I said in the beginning, the untreated gonorrhea can lead to ectopic pregnancy or reduced fertility or infertility, pelvic inflammatory disease, testicular inflammation leading to reduced fertility or sterility. So we have to be careful about treatment of gonorrhea. Chlamydia is a common sexually transmitted disease. It is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. One can get chlamydia during oral, vagina. This is something important, you know, many times for HIV also people come and say they think that oral sex is safe. We have to tell people, no ways. Oral sex can cause not only HIV, can also cause diseases like any other disease like syphilis, like chlamydia. The lesions can be there. Even anal sex. That is why I said MSM, men having sex with men. So there are 3 types, L1 and 2 and 3, and there can be a unilateral, tender, inguinal, femoral, inguinal or femoral lymphadenopathy. There can be self-limited genital ulcers or papules, proctocolitis in rectal exposure, MSM, rectal discharge, pain, constipation, fever, and tenesmus can occur. Untreated chlamydia can lead to fistulas, strictures, or even arthropathy, and asymptomatic or secondary infection can also occur. So whenever we see on one side, we used to call it bubo. Symptoms usually appear within 1 to 3 weeks. You know, person gets contact and in 1 to 3 weeks time they get infected. Those who do have symptoms may have abnormal discharge, which can be mucus or pus from the vagina or penis, or experience pain while urinating. In women, the bacteria can infect the cervix and the urinary tract. If the bacteria move into the fallopian tubes, they can cause pelvic inflammatory disease. Now, you have to suspect clinically, then genital lesions or rectal specimens and lymph node specimens can be taken, and they can be tested by culture or direct immunofluorescence, or NAT can be done from performed well on rectal specimens but are not FDA approved. There are additional molecular procedures. For example, PCR based genotyping. This can be used to detect in rectal specimens. However, they are not widely available and results are not in a time frame, and that can influence the clinical management. The chlamydia serology, complement fixation titers more than 1:64, or microimmunofluorescence more than 1:256 might support the diagnosis of LGV in appropriate clinical context, of course. And comparative data between types of serology is lacking. We really don't know, and their interpretation is not standardized. Test has not been validated for clinical proctitis, and C. trachomatis serovirus specific serologic tests are not widely available. Of course, these are written in the textbooks and I have taken from there, but they are not available. Treatment, as I said in the very first few slides, that STD treatments are usually easy, as my colleague also told me. But in chlamydia, you give recommended regimen is azithromycin 1 gram in a single dose, or doxycycline 100 milligram orally twice a day for 1 week. Alternative regimes can be erythromycin base, not steroid or acetylate, 500 milligram orally 4 times a day for 7 days. Or you can use erythromycin ethyl succinate 800 milligram orally 4 times a day for 7 days. Even levofloxacin 500 milligram orally once daily for 7 days is good. Similarly, ofloxacin, they say 300 milligram, but usually 200 milligram tablet is available, but 300 milligram orally twice a day for 7 days can also be used for this. Coming to granuloma inguinale or Donovanesis, it is a genital ulcerative disease caused by a gram-negative bacterium. We all know Klebsiella granulomatis. In some tropical and developing areas, including India, New Guinea, Caribbean, Central Australia, South Africa, it is endemic. Painless, slowly progressive ulcerative lesion on the genital or perineum without regional lymphadenopathy. We call it pseudobulbous also. Subcutaneous granulomas occur, and these lesions are highly vascular. They have a beefy red appearance and can bleed on touch. Extragenital infection can also occur sometimes with the extension of infection to the pelvis and can disseminate into the intra-abdominal organ. That is something bad to the bones or to the mouth. And they can also develop secondary bacterial infection, which can coexist with other sexually transmitted pathogens. It is difficult to culture, and diagnosis requires visualization of dark staining Donovan bodies on tissue crush preparation. Yeah, these photographs are not mine. I have taken from Google only. And there is no FDA cleared molecular test for the detection. But many good pathologists can always do that if you properly take the specimen and send at the right place. Treatment, azithromycin 1 gram orally once per week or 500 milligram daily for at least 3 weeks until all lesions have completely healed. That is the standard treatment for this. But alternatively, one can use doxycycline 100 milligram twice a day for 3 weeks or until the complete healing of the lesions. Ciprofloxacin 750 milligram orally twice a day for 3 weeks or until complete clearance is another option. Erythromycin base 500 milligram 4 times for 3 weeks is another option. And the option I have written last, I usually do not prefer, because I prefer to use this drug in treatment of PCP in HIV patients and many other things. But many people still use trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole, double strength, orally, twice a day, till the lesions clear. So this is how we try to treat this. Now, coming to the syndromic approach, I said in the beginning, although I don't like it, and I would like you to specifically find the diagnosis and then treat. But since national bodies, National AIDS Control Program says this, so you should be aware about them. There are 7 types of kits available. As you see, they can be recognized by the color. White, green, gray, blue, red, yellow, black. And what do they contain? We'll talk about them one by one. What we do is, divide into syndromes. Like if a patient comes to you with urethral or anorectal or cervical discharge, kit 1 is given, which is gray in color. It contains a tablet of azithromycin 1 gram and tablet cefixime 400 milligram. They are given at one go. So gray kit is given whenever there is a urethral or anorectal or cervical discharge. Now, if a patient with vaginitis or vaginal discharge comes, then the green kit or kit 2 is given. It contains secnidazole 2 gram, 1 tablet, and fluconazole 150 milligram, 1 tablet. This is how we treat vaginal discharge by giving kit 2, which is green in color. Now, for genital ulcer disease, which is non-herpetic, we can always know the herpetic. I didn't cover herpes because I was told that Dr. Mafatia has already taken care of viral genital diseases, and Dr. Maniar has taken care of HIV, so I didn't go into that. But non-herpetic genital ulcer disease, we give a white kit, kit 3. Now, what does it contain? It contains injection benzathine penicillin 2.4 mega units, 1 vial, and azithromycin 1 gram. It also contains 10 milliliter disposable syringe, 21 gauge needle, and 1 vial of 10 milliliter sterile water. Now, the issue with this, to my mind, is that how to test penicillin. Either you dilute benzathine penicillin and then wait, or you give procaine penicillin, which is not given in this kit. But this is how the genital ulcer disease is treated. 1 shot of benzathine penicillin and 1 gram azithromycin, right? This is for non-herpetic. And then genetic ulcer disease in a patient who is sensitive to penicillin. Sometimes a patient may come to you and say, sir, मेरे को patient से allergy, penicillin से allergy है. Then in that case, you can give kit 4, which is a blue kit, and it contains 100 milligram doxycycline. It is to be given twice a day for 2 weeks, and it also has 1 tablet of azithromycin, which is to be given stat. Azithromycin, I personally feel, not personally feel, that is recommended. It should be given before meals. I usually say take it 1 hour before lunch. That is a better thing to give azithromycin. Then there is kit 5, which is red colored, and it is given for herpetic genital ulcer disease. You can make out herpetic. I did not cover it, but you can make out small little vesicles there. I don't think any dermatologist will ever miss herpes genital ulcer disease. In those patients, we give red kit, which contains acyclovir 400 milligram tablet 3 times a day to be taken for 1 week. Now, why I'm telling these kids? Because if you are in government service and you are working in that, then you have to. But otherwise, if you are into private practice, I'm sure many of us may not be giving acyclovir. They may be switching over to famciclovir or valacyclovir. But perfect. If you are not that conversant and if you are working in a government setup, then you have to follow this because National AIDS Control Program is important. Now, kit 6, which is a yellow colored kit, is meant for lower abdominal pain, usually pelvic inflammatory disease. If a patient comes and says there is a lower abdominal pain, then we give yellow colored kit, kit 6, which contains tablet cefixime, 1 tablet of 400 milligram. It also has tablet metronidazole 400 milligram, which is to be given twice a day for 2 weeks. And there is tablet doxycycline also, which is twice a day for 14 days. Last but not the least, the kit which is black colored. Sorry, okay. It's for inguinal bubo. We give doxycycline 100 milligram 1 BD for 21 days and azithromycin 1 gram tablet stat. Thank you very much. It was a mono dialogue. I really did not enjoy it. But anyways, I had to because Dr. Mathur made the setup like this. I am now ready to answer any questions, of course, with the help of Dr. Dinesh and Dr. Agarwal. It is here. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I do not know who. Let me invite all the senior people over here in this thing. Dr. Gambhir is here. Dr. Rajiv Sharma. I told. Today I was talking to Dr. Jaydev Bhatkarur, our president current. So probably he also must be on here. Is Dr. Lalit here?
Dr. Gambhir is there.
Yes, yes, sir.
I named you.
Oh,
He
yes.
said Dr. Gambhir.
मैं आपको शुरू शुरू में मैंने किया, आपने उस टाइम पे अपना वो लगा करके चले गए थे कहीं, उन्होंने डॉक्टर साहब ने कहा कि पेशेंट देखने गए हैं। एनीवे, थैंक यू वेरी मच, इट वाज अ वेरी गुड।
राकेश भाई,
डॉक्टर
मैं
ललित
जयदेव हूँ, बात
नमस्कार।
करूँ?
हाँ जी, अवश्य।
कम ऑन, आइए डॉक्टर जयदेव भटकरूर सर।
हाँ, अच्छा था राकेश।
शुक्रिया।
I heard only the last part.
Doesn't matter. Now you people hear the questions and let me ask the question. Let the panel of Dr. Jaydev Bhatkarur, Dr. Gambhir, Dr. Lalit, Dr. Rajiv take up the questions. And of course, Dr. Bharti, तो आप तो हैं ही। So TPHA once positive, never become negative. How to deal with such patients? This is Dr. V.K. Chawla. And it's a real difficult situation that TPH and VDRL, they very difficultly they come with that. So who will take up this thing to elaborate on that?
As far as I am concerned, what I do is usually, because you have to counsel the patient. You know the reality that you have treated, but the test may not become negative. And most of the times, what patients I get is like those who are trying to go to Middle East, and they are rejected from there on medical grounds. They come to me. So I tell them that we can treat you, but we can not guarantee you that you will get a visa after this. This is one. Second, if the patient has come with, say, HIV and has got this, then we say that you have been treated. Don't look at the reports. Reports are meant for doctors. They're not meant for patients. I mean, that is the simplest. But these days it is very difficult because people look into Google and they bother you like hell. But I think anybody else can help me in telling that what else to do.
Anybody else would like to comment on this regarding the positivity of TPHA? Or for that purpose?
No, TPHA is supposed to be positive forever. So
right.
There is a big problem of that.
Right.
As long as previously they were taking only VDRL, now they are taking TPHA.
Right.
So it becomes difficult.
And even I have seen VDRL also take lot of time to
especially if it goes for serofastness, then you can't do anything. It doesn't go down at all.
And Dr. Bharti was very right that neither the Gulf countries, they take the people, nor many times it's very difficult. Well, from Anish Arora, I want to ask, what is the role of FDA ABS test in confirming diagnosis of syphilis?
It's a bit difficult. I don't think all labs can do that so easily.
They can't do easily, but FDA ABS is available.
People are not doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, but still do. Can anybody else comment on that? FDA ABS?
Do you think it should be done in every patient?
Oh.
No, sir.
No. Why, doctor?
Then, like you are saying, people are not doing it.
No, it should not. It need not be done.
You are saying people are not doing it.
No.
Yeah, they are not doing it because it is not available. First of all, everywhere, and secondly, most of the time it is not required. It may be a confirmatory test where there is suspicion.
You are right.
I think when we can do a TPHA and VDRL, which gives you almost 95% sensitivity and specificity, we did not do that.
Yes.
Secondary, then Anish Arora wanted to ask, secondary syphilis cases with high titers, like 1:128, should we consider 3 doses of injection benzethine penicillin?
Why not? We give 3 only. I usually, for secondary syphilis, 3 injections. Why not?
Why more? A titer just indicates that you are reacting to that antigen. You have produced enough antibodies.
Yes, I will not. I agree.
His question is that
Hey,
whether
Dr. Archana, Dr. Archana is also here. Yes.
Welcome, madam.
Thank you. This thing laptop just discharged when this question was TPHA was going on. So I think it's sorted out because we don't treat the lab anomalies, and one should know how to counsel a patient when TPHA comes positive. TPHA denotes past infection. It does not necessarily mean present infection.
Yes.
Unless and until you have a corroboratory VDRL which is higher than 1:16, that is 4-fold increase. There are very few patients who are serofast that even after, adequate treatment with benzathine penicillin will have a VDRL titer of more than 1:16. So I am not worried. I can counsel patients, and we have been doing that for ages because TPHA is routinely done in our hospital, and we never rely solely on VDRL when the clinical picture is not so diagnostic. So coming to part 2 about the 3 doses, I agree. With Dr. Rajiv Sharma, we never give more than 1 dose, whatever the titer may be, unless and until patient is indulging a promiscuous and have had a history which is longer than 2-year duration. Otherwise, we never treat.
We also don't give. We give only 1 dose and just wait for the
dose, and
VDRL
then
to
we
fall.
follow it up like 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months.
Yeah.
VDRL follow up.
About counseling the patient on TPHA, it's okay to counsel the patient, but in certain countries, if it is positive, they don't allow for immigration, especially in Arabian countries. Whatever you may do.
Sir, that is their rule.
That is
That is their rule.
We cannot change.
Patient is coming for that I have to go to Dubai. I have to go to this place, and they don't allow. What to do?
Nothing, sir.
When you go,
you write.
Dr. Gambhir sir, when you go in the market to buy some vegetables, and if some vegetable is bad or having some dot, probably you will not take it. So it is on the employer that depends upon what does he want to take. Like in the army people also, they do not take even vitiligo patch. So that is all depends upon the
No, you can write that the patient is not infectious anymore.
No, madam.
No, they don't accept. They don't accept
but
that
that's
also.
not our job to convince those people.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have got nothing to fear.
See, even before the COVID, I had a patient who was, referred to me for opinion because he was a IS entrance and he had vitiligo patch. So what could I write? I wrote that this is a non-infectious disease. There is a single patch. It will not impair or hinder in discharging his duties. That's it. What can I say?
No.
Ma'am, Suniye, what I do is when such a patient comes from a Middle East rejection, I tell them that my job is to treat you. My job is not to get you a visa, right?
Yes.
Number 1. So if you are interested in getting treatment, you are welcome. But if you are interested in visa, knock some other door. This is one thing. So I think if we counsel that way, and we tell that if you don't treat, what will happen? That is the second thing. That not that only for visa you are getting treated.
No, sir. Even a treated patient who has had syphilis long back may have a TPHA positive and they are rejected.
Yes.
So we don't treat them. We only counsel them. That we can only tell you that you are treated. You don't have active disease. This test is going to remain positive for maybe years to come. And sorry, we cannot arrange a visa for you.
Many times such patient go and get one more injection somewhere else. And then
they will keep doing it. Like all pregnant female, because it's biologically false positive, even with our gynae colleagues, even if it is 1:8 or 1:16, they give them benzathine penicillin.
Right. Exactly.
Just like that.
And the second thing is, madam, that in many countries, they accept your certificate. I quoted an example that in Canada, if a dermatologist or a STD specialist writes that patient has been given 3 injections, they accept it. They don't.
Sir,
allow-
Canada does not have a punishment for being promiscuous.
Yes. Yes.
Muslim countries do
But
that.
The Middle East
not.
countries have that capital punishment for being promiscuous. Sir,
We
that is
cannot
the
touch
difference.
rules of the
Yeah.
countries or
That is the difference.
Well, a test for chlamydia. Well, one person has asked, what is the test you do in your practice when you suspect chlamydia?
Please, yeah.
Generally, we don't have, in Delhi, we have Safdarjung Hospital where they're doing FTA, like fluorescent, they are doing immunofluorescent antibody test. And otherwise, we don't do any test. We do just clinical test, 2 glass or 3 glass urine test.
yes, I didn't touch that, but yes, you're right. It is not available, at least in my city, even in medical college.
Yeah, it's
That
not,
is
it's
not available.
there in the STI center, which is there in Safdarjung Hospital. And we got 2 patients tested there because they had a sign of groove, which is very classical of this thing. So they, otherwise they do it in urine sample, but they do not do it otherwise.
In fact, long back, probably I did some with the WHO or these things, a project and that was also very fishy in this sense. So very difficult, very difficult. Why vesicular lesions can be seen in congenital syphilis and not in syphilis? What is the pathomechanism of such change? Why vesicular lesions can be seen in congenital syphilis and not in syphilis? And what is the pathomechanism of such changes?
I don't know,
think that-
maybe Archana can help.
No, I don't have any
Pratik can
answer.
help. Or
No, but
Jaideep.
now they are reporting now in HIV positive patients with syphilis.
Well,
Bullous
HIV,
lesions have been
HIV,
reported.
right? HIV, anything
Bullous-
can, anything.
Anything can happen.
The bullous lesions have been reported in syphilis patients.
Yeah, hemorrhagic lesion, that's called syphilitic maligna. Even if the
Even
patient is highly
I remember one of my
we've
first.
seen hemorrhagic bullous lesion.
I reported the first case which was seen by me in early 90s, 90, this, and that was a secondary syphilis case with presented like eczematous lesion and pustular lesions, and that was presented in this international HIV Congress which was done at Delhi. So, any specific reason for syphilis chancre being painless? Muhammad Ali Adil wants to ask. Any specific reason for syphilis chancre being painless?
This endarteritis.
Yeah,
Endarteritis obliterans.
it's a ischemic lesion.
Yeah, it is an endarteritis
painless.
obliterans that leads to death of the nerves. So that is why there is no pain. Whereas and there is no edema there. There is a compact infiltration.
Perivascular plasma cell infiltrate.
Whereas in chancroid, it is a very edematous.
And there is lots of vascular
Inflammatory.
angiogenesis in case of chancroid on histopathology, and that's why it's very painful.
What is
Because the inflammation is marked.
what is ligranum? Ligranum.
Ligranum, it is obsolete. It was for LGB, no?
Right.
Ligranum.
Ligranum.
Intradermal test for antigen for LGB. Ligranum.
Right. So if a lady was prescribed yellow kit, what kit should be advised to the partner, sir?
The partner has to be given. Because see, yellow kit is for PID. And PID, the commonest cause is chlamydia. And that's why you give doxycycline. So
Yes.
patient's husband has to be treated. Spouse treatment is very, very essential.
Shruti Karade to ask the Jesus 60-year-old female TPHA positive, VDRL titer 1:8, incidentally found during pre-OPD evaluation, asymptomatic does not recall history of genital ulcer or being treated with penicillin. How to manage?
1:8 titer, I don't think we need to treat.
With TPHA positivity.
Yes, it
will
denotes past
persist.
infection.
Right.
Syphilis
Then
can die down even without giving benzathine penicillin.
Yep.
people are asking to recast the old recorded versions of webinars. I'll discuss in the this faculty group. I've made a faculty group, so we'll discuss and then disclose over it. How to treat phagedenic ulcer or how to treat phagedenic ulcer or secondary infection, and how to correctly diagnose the underlying condition in such situations.
नॉलेज यही होता है नॉलेज किसी जो आदमी रहता है ना नॉलेज नहीं है उसी से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं माइंड में जो भी तुम्हारा जिसके पास जो ज्यादा रहता है ना तो वो अपने कॉन्फिडेंस रहता है चाहे पूरे है चाहे माइंड में रहे.
Who is this?
Somebody else is talking something else.
No, probably they are saying. Well, can anybody come on the?
About what?
Yeah, sir. Sir, good evening, sir. Bhumesh.
Yes, Bhumesh.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. Rakesh,
Hello.
sir. Nice talk, sir.
Thank you.
Regarding related to the HIV and STDs, we know that the natural history of all STDs will be altered. So the related to even the clinical manifestations, laboratory diagnosis, the treatment, prognosis, everything will be altered in advanced immunodeficiency, but in a immunodeficiency it will be the same. But the question is the VDRL, the interpretation of VDRL in advanced immunodeficiency in AIDS.
You want to say that in HIV patient, full-blown AIDS, the VDRL test will be different?
Yeah, interpretation. So when can we take positive? When can we take negative? In pediatric age group, especially in pediatric age group in pregnancy.
Pediatric age group you can tell better, but I personally feel more than 1:8 dilution. If it is positive, then we can. I mean, we don't have to say if it is 1:2 or 1:4, we have to treat.
But in case of pregnancy and in situation of HIV, whatever VDRL positive, 1:2 also you have to treat the patient.
Yeah, exactly.
There is absolutely no way you can say that no to this patient.
Okay.
It doesn't depend on this one at all.
Actually, you have to give.
You have to give the treat. You have to treat the patient because the chances of neurosyphilis are very high.
Is it the same in pediatric age group, sir?
Probably, I have not had much experience in pediatric age group.
There's no idea. I have not
Well, one question from Dr. Kartavya, sir. What is the reason behind condom use providing more than 90% protection against HIV, but nearly 0% protection against HPV?
No, there is nothing like that.
No, who said?
Yes.
There is no this one.
Not true.
No.
It is not proven that HPV is not prevented. It is unfortunately they don't use. That is the only problem.
Right. And I've never heard such kind of query.
Even me.
SRL lab is doing for patient to whom you just write. Hello, sir. What is the treatment of syphilis in pregnancy? 1 dose of benzathine penicillin, or we need to give 2 doses.
Enough. One dose is enough.
Patient with VDRL positive in 1:64 titer had 1 dose of penicillin and want to start family. When should you go ahead?
What?
Patient with VDRL positive in 1:64 titer had 1 dose of penicillin and now he want to start family. Well, probably he must be wanted to have children.
No,
When should he go?
We have to wait till the VDRL either becomes zero fast or comes down to 0.
It usually takes 9 months to 12 months.
So he
But
has to wait
it
for
will be true only for a female patient.
12 months.
Sorry?
Only for a female patient it should be true, or a male who is given this treatment can also not have a family.
No,
Yeah,
he can have.
Yes, so this question holds only for a female patient.
Yeah.
A woman trying to become pregnant who was 1:64 positive and has been given benzathine penicillin should wait for 9 months. But if a male is positive, then I don't think this rule applies.
Yes, because he can father a child after benzathine penicillin has been given to him.
Yes, ma'am. And the ulcer has healed.
Yes, of course.
Well, TPH is a qualitative test, or it is both qualitative and quantitative.
both.
if a
But it
partner,
is usually not done in a quantitative fashion. It is
Yeah.
usually a qualitative.
Unfortunately, it is not
one,
done.
one,
You have to
one,
ask
one has
for
to
it.
one has to ask the lab particular.
Lalpat does. Lalpat does.
No, but
Many
even
labs are
even
doing
if you
that.
ask other labs, they can do it.
Yes.
No, even SRL does it, but you have to ask for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a patient has a very high titers of VDRL, but the disease is less than 2 years, in that cases also single dose is sufficient.
Yes.
If you are able to ascertain less than 2 years, it's fine. Otherwise, 3 doses. But we always do LP whenever there is a confusion.
Are there different types of JH reactions, sir?
Different types of?
JH
reaction.
reactions.
I have no idea.
See, all patients we prefer to admit to see, because or if patient doesn't want to get admitted, then he has to be counseled that there can be headache, there can be fever, there can be pain at the site of the ulcer, there can be severe constitutional symptoms, but then everything may not be present in the same patient. But we always tell patient not to take paracetamol, because I have seen some prescriptions where they give paracetamol to all patients. So that should not be given, because you need to be, it has to be given only if there is symptom. Prophylactically, if you give, then you will not get to know about the constitutional symptoms or about mild fever or about mild pain in the ulcer site, at the ulcer site.
Ania, one person want to ask, why does primary chancre becomes painful with secondary infection of
The inflammation.
Everything becomes painful in secondary because there is inflammation. Rubor, pallor, tumor, they are the cardinal signs of inflammation.
I am reading the questions as on the mobile, so not trying to analyze them. But
No, it's good to ask questions.
Right.
வேண்டாம் வேண்டாம்மா போதும்மா சப்பாத்தி சாப்பிட்டதுமா போதும்மா முடியல
But he is talking.
One of my job is basically to mute the people. I don't do anything. So I keep on looking at the screen also. That is why I don't only participate in the question answer session. What is your opinion regarding retreatment of sero-fast patient? Is retreatment really needed? That
No.
is Parth Pradhani.
But unless you know that it is sero-fast, you need not. You have to treat if the patient has come to you for the first time.
Sir, can you please repeat in which condition we need to treat a patient with VDRL titer 1:2?
What?
Can you please
1:2.
repeat in which condition we need to treat a patient with a VDRL titer 1:2?
It's
One is
very
to if you
difficult.
are if you are clinically suspecting syphilis with whatever clinical experience you have, then you have to treat. And if the patient is pregnant, then you'll have to treat.
Logical.
And
Logical.
But I
with
think
HIV
I will
positive, then you have to
suggest that all the students should go to micro lab to see how VDRL is done. And it is practically impossible to report a titer of 1:2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You really need very big and sharp eyes to do that.
Minimum is 1:4, 8,
What?
16.
Yes, I have never
How would you
seen
able to-
1:2. Yeah, this in India probably we are reporting, elsewhere it is not never
It is a
reported
false reporting. 1:2 is a false reporting. I have worked in microbiology for 3 years.
Yeah, so 1:2 cannot be reported.
No, never.
इतना कम hemoagglutination कहाँ थे?
Well, if a patient has JH reaction on first injection, what do we give? What to give on next visit in a patient of late latent syphilis?
That's
If a
interesting.
patient has JH reaction on the first injection of penicillin, what to give on next visit in a patient of late latent syphilis?
On
Late
second and
latent.
third. So you can give antihistamine, you can admit patient, you can start IV line, you can give paracetamol injection, mole.
But you have to give penicillin only. It's a no.
Yeah, you have to give penicillin. JH reaction is not a contraindication to penicillin injection.
It should always be given after admitting. It should always
Yes.
be given after
Yeah,
admitting.
That's
That
what
is
I'm
rule of-
telling you, that you
That
start
is
IV line
But it is
ready.
not a contraindication.
Under observation, it should be given.
But what about those who are practicing? I don't know whether they will be admitting the patients and giving.
Send to medical college. They will
Ideally-
We give it in the hospital.
Ideally,
Do you give in a hospital setup, sir?
Yeah, we give it in the hospital setup. Even though patients are in the clinic, we tell them to come to the hospital and take the injection.
You can't give in the clinic.
But we don't admit.
No, for severe JH reaction, I
Short
think I
duration.
will like to admit.
No, but before giving the injection, we don't admit them and give the injection. We give it in the OPD and send them. But I don't know what Rakesh does.
No,
in his
sir,
clinic.
I send to the hospital and I tell them admit them for a short duration. Right?
Okay.
So they have to be kept there for some time.
when to
I do daycare admission for them.
That's
When-
what it is. Take care.
How often do you encounter this? GS
Very rare.
when to suspect penicillin resistance and what to do in that scenario.
It has not been proved yet. I don't think anybody has proved that penicillin resistance.
Till now, Treponema pallidum has not been found to be resistant to penicillin.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has not been reported as of now.
As till now, it has
Penicillin may
been
not be
reported.
available in many places, but it has never been great.
If it is resistant to penicillin, there is no other drug which is very effective.
Zoom is over.
Yeah, I think Zoom
No, Zoom
time is over.
Zoom is not over. But what people do, because nowadays Zoom is very popular, and people know how to misuse the screen, how to manipulate it, and it has got to listen. Somebody was trying to share the
Share
screen.
the screen.
Have you
Yes.
stopped sharing the screen?
Yes, it is now stopped.
Yeah, now it is there.
No, that I did it. So I'll just stop it. So and my half of the time I keep on clearing those drawings and making people mute and everything. Anyway, let me see if there's any question left. No,
How to treat a
Oh,
pregnant
sorry, but
lady.
can you please repeat the reply for the question? How to treat Fagadenic ulcer or secondary infection and how to correctly diagnose the underlying condition in such situation? Fagadenic ulcer. Can anybody take up this?
Don't get it?
How to treat Fagadenic ulcer or secondary infection and how to correctly diagnose the underlying condition in such situation?
Fagadenic ulcer is there only in chancroid.
Yes.
So we have to treat secondary infection and chancroid.
It
I
can
don't know.
occur in neurovenosis also. It's not
Sorry?
necessary.
Ceftriaxone.
Other ulcers also, not only chancroid. And you need to add antibiotics for taking care of anaerobes also.
So
Right.
we can do a culture
You
sensitive.
You have to give
No, you have to start
ceftriaxone by injection.
with a broad spectrum antibiotic and combination of antibiotics that cover gram positive, gram negative, and
negative.
anaerobic infection.
Yes,
So
yes.
metronidazole is a must because they are usually caused by gram negative coliforms. And
Yeah.
it's a medical emergency. Patient should not be given only oral treatment. It should be a systemic IV treatment.
Well, last question. One of the last question. How
And
to
it
treat
can
the
be
pregnant
anything.
lady?
It can be even a traumatic ulcer. It need not necessarily be STI.
Yes.
How to treat a pregnant lady with positive VDRL TPHA who is allergic to penicillin?
वो तो
Alternative treatment.
Macrolides,
Sorry?
macrolides, erythromycin.
we can give
Erythromycin is the best drug for that.
So ages, it is the same. After penicillin injection, in what time infected person becomes non-infectious?
6 to 9 months.
Sorry?
6 to 9 months.
I think till the ulcer heals and a few weeks later.
After that, we have to go the titers VDR also, and it takes 6 to 9
So
months to.
once the ulcer heals, then it's good. you can do tighter also.
Well, this siren is going on, and I think it was a good discussion, and we should in future also we'll keep this kind of system. But I'm tomorrow there is no this thing. Tomorrow there will be something else for the faculty. I'll be putting up in the faculty group, and this thing.
Which faculty group? I don't know. I'm not there. Maybe.
Where?
मुझे पता नहीं है यार कहाँ है वो
वो
faculty group.
वो आपको ले आए वो उसमें फंडरमा वाले में भी है कि है आप उसमें नहीं है
फंडरमा में भी है.
From fund to education.
Yes, listen, that is well, we are all
प्रॉब्लम ऐसा है मैं सब ग्रुप में हूँ धर्मा ग्रुप में तो प्रॉब्लम वही है.
ना कोई बात नहीं.
देख नहीं पाते हैं आप कहाँ हैं.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for a nice evening and a good discussion and all that. So let me end up the meeting, and we will come. And moreover, from this July onwards, we will reduce the frequency of the lectures because at least once or twice in a week. That is
well presented, Dr. Bharti. Congrats to everybody.
Yes, congratulations, Dr. Bharti.
Very nice.
नहीं
And
most importantly, wish you all a very happy Doctor's Day tomorrow.
Oh, that we'll be doing the Doctor's Day program.
आज रात 12 बजे को तो विश कर देते हैं.
Oh yes, sure. No, I plan to make the Doctor's Day. So let me end up the meeting, right?
Right, sir. See you.
Okay, bye. See you.
Bye. Bye.